My name's Amil and I run a communications agency. We focus on political communications, and I've worked on issues related to Syria since about 2013 when I was the UK's communications advisor to the Syrian opposition. So I think, and I feel quite strongly about this, that the issue in Syria, the issue in Sudan, the issue in Egypt are early versions of something that we've seen in a lot of other countries, including here in the UK, in the States and other Western countries. Basically, it comes down to an issue of authoritarianism and what kind of world do we want to live in. Do we want to live in a world where you as an average person are basically owned by the people who run your country, or do they have to represent what you want? Are they accountable to you, or are you owned by them? So I think Syria is one episode of this sort of much more broad global struggle that we're in right now. So where we really got to start is talking about who are humanizing refugees in a sort of sense of the popular opinion of them. And from there you can start talking about policies. These things don't exist in a vacuum. You can't talk about policies when popular opinion is totally negative. So we have to start really right on the grassroots. We know that refugees come with skills, experience, with all sorts of assets that they bring to a country. That's why a lot of countries have welcomed them. Once those assets have been utilised, once you have a system that allows those people to flourish, to stand on their own 2 feet, to contribute to their local communities, then you can also start telling people about that and trying to make a dent in this sort of overwhelming negative narrative that these guys are all a source of problems for us. And we live in a world now where the barriers of entry towards getting involved in media and public perception are much, much lower than they ever were before. You don't have to get on the BBC or CNN to get a wide audience. There will be young Syrians, young Iraqis, young Ethiopians in the UK who are British citizens who will be able to get on Instagram, will be able to get on Facebook and start dealing with each other and navigating their identity, their place in the country around them, and we should be absolutely supporting that. And a lot of that is happening already. But I think it's a balance between allowing people the space to do that, but also doing the things that should be done anyway, and supporting people to actually physically make the best of their situation that they can. So my overwhelming memory and the real sort of emotional impact that working with Syrians had on me was a sense of this inbuilt humanity, and regardless of the really horrible, horrific situation that people were in, that never went away. So it would be that. I think that more events such as this, where we have activists and people involved in Syria, as well as people who are working on issues now that we see in Sudan, in Egypt, in Europe, the more opportunities we have for people who are facing all of these challenges to come together and swap experiences, to think about what works, and to have the realization that actually we're all in this together is positive beyond measure. So I'm really happy to be involved.